sip today. And of course, it's not our regular day and our regular time. I told you I'd be back on June 5th, but so much has happened that I feel compelled to come out here and rap a taste with you, kind of check on you, and y'all check on me. I want to talk a little bit about the murder of George Floyd, another I can't breathe. You know, I had a friend say to me, she just didn't understand. I just don't understand. And, you know, in the words of the great philosopher, my father, if you understand that shit is something wrong with you, you're not supposed to understand it because you're not a murderer. So you don't understand it because it's senseless and it's murder. And so because it's senseless and it's murder, you're not supposed to understand it in a way that suggests that it's sensible or that it makes sense at all. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we know. And we know that, I think it's odd. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't even think it's a coincidence. I think this is the universe speaking to us. Amy Klobuchar is Joe Biden's running mate now in his head. So he's asked for her to be vetted and for them to look at her to see if she's fit, or not so much fit. Let me walk that back a little bit to see if she can help him win the election. So they need the Midwest. So, Minnesota on down. That's the top, of the United States on down. That whole working man, I understand, union kind of. That's what he needs, right? A.B. Klobuchar. Now, they've been asking for the black vote. And we're going to talk about that a little bit because y'all are actually on my nerves. So, so here we are, Amy Klobuchar, and it comes out that she actually should have prosecuted the same man who put his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck and killed him during her 8 years as prosecutor in Minnesota. Okay, so what does that mean? See, even the birds think it's crazy. So what that means is she ain't no better. Yes, that's exactly how I said it. She ain't no better. And what I mean by that is this man, this murderer, this murdering cop had a 19-year tenure before he was fired on Tuesday by the young white mayor. Out of the 19 years, he had 10 excessive force complaints. He and fellow officers actually shot a Native American man and killed another man. She didn't prosecute. In fact, Amy Klobuchar prosecuted lesser crimes that really impacted, you guessed it, poor minorities. We keep saying, when will it end? We on some Pac stuff. How long will they mourn me? Forever. Because the truth of the matter is that we are not considered human beings. They used to say 1/10 of an ounce of black blood made you black. Then they said whatever your father is, that's what you are, because you had a lot of white women dating black men having half-breed babies. I know I'm not supposed to say half-breed. I'm supposed to say mixed, but I mean, it is what it is. And so it was whatever your father is, or, once we got away from the blood, because sometimes they can't tell. So we're faced now with another senseless murder, and we're adding this man to the long, long list of unarmed men and women that, I mean, really, that are being killed because they're black. I started this by telling you about my friend who said, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Well, here's what happened. And you don't have to be there to know what happened. They get a call. The police department gets a call through dispatch about a $10 counterfeit bill. So he went into like one of the corner stores, Mr. Floyd did, and they say, oh, he's trying to pop a $10 counterfeit bill on us. Now they have those little things, those pins. If you don't have the machine, and it tells you if it's counterfeit. They said it looked counterfeit in the news reporting, because of course I didn't talk to the people at the corner store. Certainly would love to. But they said it looked counterfeit. Okay, so now these people are authorities on counterfeit money. All right, maybe so. Maybe they deal with so much money they can spot a fake. I don't know. But they didn't use the pen. They just used their eyesight. So they decided to call the police. There's a lot of things that are happening here with George Floyd. Mr. Floyd is a large statured man. Looks kind of buff, like, if he's not working out currently, he worked out, his body is holding. He's tall and he's dark skinned. And regardless of whether or not white people, and I'm saying it like we spell it, WYPIPO, regardless of the fact that when white people get to white peopling, what they don't say is they are more insecure the darker the skin tone. Those that feel that way. Because again, all white people aren't bad and all black people aren't good. We got some black cops that's worse than any white cop could be. And black folks know I'm not lying. So to that end, we now know that they rolled up on him and they saw, man, he appears to be maybe 6'3", 6'4", dark skin, body in shape. He's well built, maintaining depending on how old he is. So here's what I think happened. They rolled up and they saw him. They become very insecure. They become very insecure because they demonize us and idolize us simultaneously. Now, I'm not fluent in oxymoronic tendencies, philosophies, or language, but I do know that coexists with the white people who do the white peopling. I also know that there are minorities that come to this country that want to believe they fit into the white peopling concept, and so they then are actionable in that way. So we have Mr. Floyd, who is pulled out of his SUV, handcuffed, and he's trying to talk to me. You see him sit in the video, then you see him stand. And you see, I assume he's trying to talk to him. Man, wait a minute, hold on. It wasn't counterfeit. If it was counterfeit, I certainly didn't know it. That's what I believe was the conversation. But I believe the police officers had a conversation separate and independent and apart from Mr. Floyd. And I believe that conversation was more of, ooh, he's a big one. I'm not scared of him. Bet you I could take him down. Because, see, once they see a certain kind of black person, depending on their level of fear and insecurity and cowardice, they then decide how they're going to react to us. They intended, within moments of encountering Mr. Floyd in his large stature, dark skin, well-built body, that they were going to take him on. And so people are saying, well, when his body was lifeless, he didn't take his knee off of it. No. That's why when you see like these assassins, they say they're doing wet work, they shoot them in the chest and then they lay over them when they appear to be dead and shoot them in the head. Because when you intend to kill someone, when your purpose is to assassinate and murder, you want to make sure the job is done. So no, he's not going to take his knee off of his throat, because his intent was to murder Mr. Floyd when he came in contact with him. Now, there's some people out there saying, Coy, you couldn't possibly know that. A little birdie didn't have to tell me, because that is what happens with us. What happens with us is that they look at us and they make a determination. I never will forget. Those of you that are familiar with Dallas, Texas, on Omaha Street, they know there's an area on the toll road that was under construction. Under construction is toll road north going south. I'm doing what I believe to be the speed limit, and I don't remember what I was doing. And a state trooper pulled me over. And I was like, oh, here we go. Because you never know what to expect. Now, usually the troopers are better than city and county police, but but you never know. And so he pulls me over, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing the speed limit. Now, here's the caveat. Because of the construction, they had lowered the speed limit, but I missed it. I didn't see that the speed limit had changed. Now, maybe it wasn't there, and maybe it's just that I was so used to knowing what the speed limit was under normal non-construction times. I don't know. But he pulls me over and he said, and I said, did I do something wrong? Just a minute. And he asked for my driver's license. So I already have it ready when they get to the car because I don't want the smoke. So I give it to him, and then he runs it and he sees I don't have any tickets. I don't have any warrants, and my car is insured. So now what do you do with the cute little black girl in the cute little black Lexus? So he comes back to me and he says, he's talking to me and he says, I shouldn't have snapped on you. Like I said, no, you shouldn't have. Because, the Oak Cliff, Texas in me is standing up by now. And he goes on to pontificate about, I said to him, what did you stop me for? I said, I absolutely did not. I absolutely did not say that to you. In fact, I watched my tone, monitored my words because you all kill us. And what I said to you was, did I do something wrong, officer? And he looks at me. It was such a look. He says, well, I said, no. He said, well, I just felt like that. I said, no, that's what you heard. You heard that because when you approached my car, you expected me to have warrants or tickets or something that it would justify you mistreating me. And he dropped his head and said, I'm sorry. You're right. I did not approach or handle this correctly. Now, this wasn't nothing but the grace of God because I'm not that great. But my spirit said, don't just say that's okay and let him get away with it. My spirit said, call him on his stuff. My spirit said, make him aware that every time he approaches a black person, he doesn't have to act like this. Fast forward, a couple of years later, I get stopped by a county police officer. Same thing. Where are you going? I said, why? And my homeboy's on the phone calling my name, call. And I said, why do you need to know where I'm going? So he says, well, I'm headed north. We're just going. I said, yeah, I'm just out for a drive, and I'm just headed north. Because you don't even know where I'm going. What you going to do, call ahead and send the police in there to break up a black party or something? What do you need to know that for? But my homeboy was like terrified. And then when he ran and he realized I didn't have any warrant, had insurance, then he was like, well, all right then. All right, miss, have a good evening. Because when they encounter us, they have already made up their minds that we are less than worthy. And Mr. Floyd is dead because of stereotypes and macho and machismo and hatred and racism that these police officers have. I don't know why we are not examining the fact that when these police forces were formed all over the United States, they took the plantation managers and they are the ones that were running the plantations, whipping us when our bales of cotton get too heavy, or when the woman got to have a baby right there in the sugarcane field. They are the ones that they then became police officers. That's what happened to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Black Wall Street. That's what happened with Rosewood when they tell the real story, because the same people that were mobbing after the man who supposedly raped this demure, genteel white woman, the police officers, they were all part of the Klan. So nothing has changed. We just have technology. These police officers are still part of the Klan. They still pointed hood in their pocket, 3K card carrying cowards. Mosquitoes. So that's what's happened. They saw this man. They wanted to challenge him. They wanted to feel better about their ineptness, their cowardice, that they decided they'd take him on because there were several of them around him. So it certainly wasn't a fair fight. But it's because they make up their mind when they encounter you because of their fear and their cowardice that they're going to kill us. And it doesn't matter what we do. Hands on the steering wheel. It's by the grace of God when we encounter a police officer that we make it home. It is by the grace of God. And it's a bunch of black folks out here that's not believing in God, not believing in a heaven and a hell. God, what we say in the South, bless your heart. Because it is by the grace of God that we make it home. So now, what are we going to do? So July 7th is a call to action to ask Black people not to spend one dime that day. I'm going to do it, but here's what I know. If you need gas, you're going to buy it on the 6th or the 8th. So they're still going to make their quota for the week. The problem is, and we keep examining this fact, but here is the problem. We don't have Black grocery stores that we can go to. We don't have mom and pops that can really supply our needs on a mass scale. We don't control technology. If a Black person is on the web, they are still using Al Gore's internet, which can be compromised by big technology companies. So we don't have the benefit of that. So when we start recalling, and I've been guilty of this myself, when we start recalling the Selma bus boycott, for instance, I know that my grandfather, B.B. Lipscomb, who owned a radio and TV electronics shop, so he didn't have to report to somebody, so it was easier for him. He drove his work van, it was like a panel truck, and my grandmother kept the car, and they would go by the bus stop along with tons of other people and pick people up and take them to work who required the bus. And the reason that worked is because you could schedule logistically, and I've heard the stories about how my grandfather worked through the church, St. John Missionary Baptist Church on Marcellus for you Dallasite, worked through the church to help organize with other churches how they were going to pick people up in Dallas. And this happened all over the United States. Now, it started in Selma, and Selma got the most of the publicity, therefore the credit, but that went on all over the United States. The problem now is when we start talking about our $3.9 trillion spending power is because we don't have the Black shops that can assist us the way we need it so that we can protest and boycott. So what do we do? Well, that brings me to my third point. What we need to do is galvanize in a way that we really demand an outcome for our vote. Now, I'm not about to get preachy. I'm just going to tell you these murders because here's the thing. We're fresh off of Armaud Arbery. We're fresh off the fact that the police department there in Glenn County, the Glenn County Sheriff's Department, city police, and that police department has been disbanded. The task force disbanded because Castano, one of the police officers, was sleeping with two informants. And the way it reads is that they really didn't believe they had a choice. Now, they didn't use the word force, but if you read between the lines, it would suggest that they did not think they had a choice in whether or not they slept with him. They're probably trying to stay out of jail. So now we're talking about, here's a corrupt police department. McMichael, the father of the twosome that murdered Arbery, and let's keep it 100, he only shot him because his son was getting Zimmerman, beat up. He used to work for the district attorney's office. So the district attorney passed on any kind of arrest that would have attempted to make the Arbery family whole. He chose not to do that. Let me see if I can fix this for y'all so y'all can see that little. There we go. All right. Now, so with that being said, you have a corrupt police department. GBI has to step in. They step in only after protest and arrest the McMichaels and the person, the videographer, if you will, the person that was filming. Now, the murder took place last year. I don't know what we're going to do because the truth of the matter is that It's so much corruption that runs through these facilities. And we don't have the community we used to have to really make some significant noise. So what are we going to do? On the 7th, we're supposed to do a blackout. The problem with that is it'll just be for one day. And we won't really be able to do what we need to do because the day before and the day after, or sometime that week, they will make their money up for that one day. Now, I'm not saying don't participate. I'm going to participate, but I just want to look at this holistically and really have a real conversation about what is going to happen on the 8th and the 9th and the 10th of July. Here's the thing. We've got to decide that we're going to be committed to making a change for our brothers, Ahmaud and George and Tamir, the baby, and Trayvon, the child. And we are going to have to come up with a plan that's not only actionable, but effective. I'm not sure that one day is going to be what we need so that they stop killing us for sport. I shared with a friend that I likened Mr. Floyd's death to when white people go to Africa or India and they pay money to kill a lion or an elephant. And they stand there with this massive creature with their guns poked up in the air. And they're posing because they want to show their power and their strength. When these men that are doing this have got to have the smallest peckers on the planet to believe that it's okay to take the life of something that's not bothering you. You seek it out in a fake challenge so that you feel better about yourself. You have got to be the most pitiful person God ever wrapped skin around. But I do believe that that's how they see us. See, that mob that attacked Mr. Arbery, they saw a black man. It wasn't about they thought that he might be vandalizing or breaking into homes, because their response when they're telling their truth was to show him in an empty house just looking around. Well, people do that all the time. I mean, the house was not, it wasn't even built. It was just where they were scaling it out. I have gone into homes in my neighborhood that were completely being worked on while the workmen were there just to see what they're doing. Because there's nothing I can take. What I'm going to do? Steal the wood off the floor, the towel off the bathroom, a mirror. I'm going to take a mirror off the wall and just walk out. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I look to see. I mean, maybe I'm a little nosy, but you're curious about what's going on in your neighborhood. And Mr. Arbery was in his neighborhood. So when we are talking about the things that are going on, we need a plan. Now, I know a lot of people got mad at me when I said, don't vote. Now, that was pre-COVID-19 when I said that, okay? But the truth of the matter is, I'm going to vote because I want Trump gone. And I'm going to vote because if the pandemic comes back in the fall, and then it comes back with a vengeance in the spring of 21, I need someone in office that actually is going to have a pandemic response team ready to go and knows what to do. I'm not talking about vaccinations. I'm not talking about remdesivir. I'm not talking about this stuff they're trying to tell you, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about having a plan in place so that they already know that this is coming and that they plan for it. And we're not going to have that with the orangutan running the three-ring circus from the Oval Office. But here's the real. And I've said this several times. I think that we need to go ahead and put Joe Biden in office. And then we need to put the screws to him. We need to put so much pressure on him about, one, what you're going to do for black folks. In particular, what are you going to do for black folks? And then we need to make sure that we get it, or we're not going to let you win in 4 years. But we have to get him out. Now, let me say this, because this has gotten on my nerves real bad. My last black nerve, to be exact. I'm tired of you commentary caregivers that are using text and type as if you're galvanizing the fight. You are a studio gangster, a bathroom gangster. You stand in the mirror and talk shit to yourself in the morning so you feel better about your commute. That is who you are. You're not out here in the trenches. You don't have boots on the ground. I have seen posts that kind of tick me off because I knew some of these people well. They were talking about, I'm surprised about the people that are quiet. Well, let me say this. There are people that do far more than I do. But I know I was tired. Because when we start to delve into what's wrong and what's happening with these senseless murders, we literally go down a rabbit hole. We got to get all the information. Like Casada was sleeping with 2 informants and the whole task force had to be disbanded in Glenn County, Georgia. The same police department that refused to arrest the McMichaels for murdering Arbery. See, there's more to the story. And in the words of former President Barack Obama, I like to know what I'm talking about before I speak. But I am tired of people who posting these things on Facebook, not your opinion, not your feelings. These people who act like they're news commentators on Facebook and then want to challenge someone else. I'm tired of y'all. Y'all on my nerves. Sit down somewhere. Because while all of this was going on with Mr. Floyd, many of you donated, and y'all know. I was running a fundraiser for my birthday in which I put my own personal money in, Do Not Be Fooled, to support the Chocolate Mint Foundation's food pantry. While I was on the phone with her yesterday, 3 people called wanting to know where she was located because they were not familiar with the food bank, but they needed food. Because here's what people are not talking about during COVID-19. These food banks are running low. And smaller food banks, black owned, people that look like us are trying to service people that look like us. They're not getting the benefit of the dollars. Here's the thing just in Dallas County. And I know I got people that watch me all over the world. Here's the thing in Dallas County. Dallas City was paying rent for people who were affected by COVID-19 and just didn't have the rent money. In fact, was it Dallas? I believe it was Dallas that put the man in jail because he wanted the woman out. She wasn't paying her rent because she had gotten furloughed from her job. And he cut off her gas and her lights. That's illegal, and they put him in jail because the city called a moratorium on that. Now, what they weren't really talking about is you can still file eviction paperwork. They just weren't going to evict until the state opened up. And I don't know how you fix that, because if I don't have any money and I've been furloughed, laid off, whatever, and then when the state opens back up, they don't just immediately pour money into me. And there's a whole lot of people that have not gotten unemployment checks. There's a lot of people that have not gotten stimulus checks to this day. So there's a lot involved in people being food insecure. And it's not just children now, it's whole families. In fact, Richardson ISD had 700 children in their school district unaccounted for. They hired people to go knock on doors to find out that many parents could not afford where they were living and had to move in with family members, and the kids could not be contacted. Or even in that place, there was not Wi-Fi, or if it was Wi-Fi, it was limited. I didn't realize that they did not offer unlimited Wi-Fi, But some people don't have $30 or $40 a month for Wi-Fi. So children were not in school by no fault of their own to the tune of 700. And for those of you that are watching me outside of, the state or the metroplex, Richardson ISD School Independent School District is a suburb of Dallas, and it's right outside of Dallas. So then they were able to locate, contact, and hotspot 400 kids. That's 300 kids still unaccounted for, but they're going to try to find them over the summer. DISD says that they only have 1% of their kids missing. 1% is 1,500 kids unaccounted for. And out of those kids, many of them are not eating every day. Many of those kids have taken jobs in fast food restaurants, as delivery workers, trying to help their parents make ends meet. This is a very serious time for us not to be paying attention to what's going on with us. So while I was trying to raise money for a food bank so that she could allocate groceries so that people that look like us could eat, some of y'all are out here trying to say that you're the only one that's woke. I'm not woke. I'm not woke at all. I'm enlightened because I go to sleep. Sleep is rest. And you deserve to rest. But there are people out here that are doing far more than me, the real boots on the ground that are effectuating change, and we are tired. It is exhaustive to come out here and talk about us dying in the street. And I know we all feel the pain, but what we need to stop doing is being so critical of one another. Because I also want to talk to you all that are fighting and licking a mile of Joe Biden shit. And I know that it's very rare that I curse on my show, but I'm fed up and I'm tired. Because while you are beating the drum for Joe Biden, you don't want us to talk about the crime bill, 1994 crime bill. That happened. And a people who do not remember their history are destined to repeat it. Why can't we have a conversation about who Joe Biden was at one time? And then you help me understand how he's more enlightened, how he's grown, how he's better, how he's different. But do not tell me I can't have a conversation about a crime bill that destroyed the Black family unit. How dare you do that? You talk about people are not going to vote. It's first-time voters. You know what? Maybe they don't need to vote. Maybe they need to wait and see what happens because we're tired of people just voting for nothing. You're at the booth and you're picking your poison. You're killing yourselves with your vote. If that is how you feel and you feel like you're up on the issue, then vote for Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar if she ends up being the one. But keep in mind, she had an opportunity to kick that fool off the police force, and she did not. That is not something that we sweep under the rug. We have a real conversation about that. We have a real conversation about the crime bill of 1994. While people are telling me, well, I was there. Don't think that we weren't. My family's been in politics before I was born. And what my mother's cousin, first Black mayor pro tem of the city of Dallas, was asking for was drug treatment centers that mirrored the heroin treatment centers that white people were getting, but Black people were not getting for crack. He was asking you to see it as an illness and an addiction. So while people are out here pontificating and running these diatribes about what's wrong with Black people who want to talk about that, maybe you ought to check yourself because you reckon the rest of us. These are real conversations that we need to have. And the problem is that you all want to be so enlightened and you want to mimic and mock the rest of us that are trying to have a conversation. Sit down somewhere. Because the reason these things keep happening to us is because we don't have the conversation. Tell me that Joe Biden is different, that he's more enlightened, that he's better. He's saying he's sorry. Let's talk about that because people do grow. They do learn. But to suggest that we shouldn't have a conversation about it and for someone to suggest that me or anybody else needs to do more research, how about we research this? How about we research Oliver North sitting before Congress talking about Iran-Contra? Huh? Oh, that doesn't come into play. How about the memo that was released from Daddy Bush that said that in the CIA They purposefully put drugs in the Black communities. Sorry, y'all, that was a mosquito. In the Black communities. That's not myth or legend. That's true. That happened. So before you want to tell people that they should not have a conversation about Joe Biden, maybe you need to have a conversation about how the drugs got there. Because Black folks in the ghetto don't have an airplane to fly it over. And it was coming from somewhere else. It wasn't no poppy seeds and cocoa leaves growing in the ghetto. I'm tired. I came on here today because I felt like something needed to be said because my spirit is uneasy. And I am in pain. Like so many of you, searching for what our next step is. And the only thing I can think of, yes, we have $3.9 trillion of economic power that we wield every year, foolishly, many of us, because y'all out there standing in line to get some Jordans and Michael Jordan running around here with white women and don't care nothing about Black folks. Okay, I don't see it. So the truth of the matter is that unless we are wielding our power by demanding outcomes, action that we can see, then we're going to this is a repetitive cycle. And that's just the truth. I will participate on the 7th, but I want you to really think about where we are and where we need to be. Y'all hit me up, start identifying stores. Will they ship the groceries? Where are they located? I mean, we've got to figure something else out. I agree that it's a demonstration of our collective power, unified effectuation of our intent is what July 7th will be. But the money is not necessarily going to have the outcome or the impact that we are hoping for. Because if you need to buy gas, then you'll buy it that week. And you will buy it the day before, the day after, or sometime that week. So their profit margin is going to be the same. We have to figure out how we are going to sound a unified collective voice to get a real result. I am with it. Whatever y'all want to do. And then here's the other thing. You wish you could pick people up at the bus stop, but folks a little ticky boom boom. So you don't know about that anymore either. You know, and my grandma said, truth don't care who tells. So there's your truth. I am with whatever you want to do. I originally said, don't vote. I don't care who it is. Don't vote. Trump, okay, I only had one person out of all the people that I polled. I said, how has Trump impacted your life specifically? I only had one person tell me my grandmother couldn't come here to see be with me, the birth of my first child, because she lives in a place that Trump has refused to let people in from. She was Nigerian. And her grandmother was in Nigeria and she couldn't come over because of Trump. So she was the only one. Now that's not the case. We are dying at alarming rates because of COVID-19. So my little argument has been blown to smithereens, and I will acknowledge this openly and publicly. But the other thing is, we've got to decide what we're going to do. So if we say we're going to look at every DA in the United States and just start attacking them one by one with our vote, you don't want to do the presidency? Okay. Because really and truly, local government, city and county is where you're going to get your biggest bang for your voting bucks. But we got to do something else because they're not going to stop killing us because it's sport to them. And although I'm a praying woman and I come from a long line of praying people, I know that faith without works is dead. And we are dying. All right. Y'all hit me up. Let me know what y'all are thinking. I'll see y'all on June 5th. We'll wrap a taste. And hopefully